816 Muscle Up. You know how we do it over here. This is my car channel where we talk about nothing but cars. And man, we got a special guest today. We got 57 Freddy. We got a legend, an OG. And man, we about to get into it. This is going to be a good one. Car Talk episode 6. We also got Debo the Don. You know, we've been doing it. And yeah, man, let's get some backstory. 57 Freddy, man, I know you've been in the game a long time, man. Built a lot of whips. How'd you get into the car game, brother?
My uncles and my dad, these guys were at a young age. When I was young, these dudes were heavy into cars and motorcycles. So that's pretty much where it stems from.
Okay, so you as a teen, you kind of dabbled in the car game, and then how'd you what was your breakout build? I mean, how'd you get into where people were asking you to do builds for them and actually get into the lowrider game?
I don't want to get too much into that, but we had a partner. I had a partner back then, and we ended up building him a '64 Impala that caught a lot of attention when it was finished. And pretty much that's the car that solidified us or solidified me in the industry.
And what area are you, primarily, building, or where were you kind of brought up building cars on East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, or?
East Coast, Miami, Florida, to be exact.
Okay. And how is the lowrider scene out there? Is it is it as big as Cali? I mean, I know they got a big dunk scene out there and a lot of JDM and exotic cars out there. I mean, how is the lowrider scene out there?
It's nothing like California, of course. It's nothing like the West, not even the Midwest per se. Miami has a lot of, you got to have the yacht, you got to have the boat, the jet ski, the exotic, the designer clothes. It's just too much stuff going on in Miami, or to focus on low riding. So it's low riding in Miami is like a broke man's sport. That's pretty much what I consider it.
Yeah, 'cause I know on the West Coast, I mean, I didn't grow up around lowriders. I grew up mainly around muscle cars, going fast. Northern California, the Bay, it's a lot of old schools like Cougars, Mustangs, Chevelles, Cutlasses. Everybody that wants to go fast in Northern California. Then Southern California, in LA, you got, even in the Bay, you have the low riding scene more or less. It's really big, and you have a lot of clubs out there, and everybody's kind of doing their thing, and it's kind of an extension of everybody's neighborhood as far as the lowrider community.
Correct. It's the same. It's just not at the scale of how the West Coast dudes do it.
Okay.
We still got a long way to go.
And from your perspective, because me and Debo, we've talked about building cars and what you go through. What are some of the things people have as far as misconceptions when it gets to building a car? Because I know I got a car right now. It's been in the shop 4 years. Guy's been kind of dilly-dally. He's finally almost finished. But I mean, typically, what are some of the things people, should look at when they go to get a car built, and what should they expect? Because most people think, hey, man, I'll drop my car off, 6 months,
As for the customer's point of view, it's unrealistic. When you set these budgets, it's unrealistic. The prices that these guys think they're going to pay to get a car built. And then as far as the business standpoint, as a business owner, you want to be competitive. So you kind of to try to get a job. And I think that's a huge mistake. That I feel like this is my price, and I'm going to do the best of my ability with the price that I'm charging. But most of these guys, they cut their own throat, and then they end up cutting themselves short.
Yeah, I think the average person who gets into the game, whether it's low riding, pro touring, JDM, anything custom where you're building motors, chassis, you start talking about wiring, there's a lot of misconceptions, and people don't really understand the numbers and the time that goes into that, especially, when you start getting into fabrication and, just custom sound systems.
yeah, this assembly, fabrication time, assembly time, wiring time. It's a lot. It's a lot that goes into these builds. And
What would you think right now, uh, just roughly, if somebody wanted a clean ass like 64 with your basic hydraulics, a nice motor, probably a 350 really running, um, clean interior, hard top, like a 60, like say a 64. What are they looking at paying? Because people see these on Instagram, they're thinking, oh man, I can get that for this. Why are you charging this? And that's not the same car.
no, if you're gonna build it, let's say you build it like a 63 or 64, something basic. If you come to me, you're looking no less than 200,000, and that's you bringing me the car. But I say 250.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like what I roughly estimated too. Like once you break it down, because even in the muscle car world, you talking like motor, you know, 12 to 15 if you're on the low end. Sometimes 50 racks. Transmission, anywhere from like 7 to 12, depending. And then you talking about chassis, suspension, uh,
Great.
and with brakes, that's like anywhere from say 15 to 30,000. Depending on if you're using your own chassis or if you're modifying, and it's a lot of stuff.
Correct.
So I know people think like, oh man, you said uh, poor man's like car game, but it ain't nothing cheap about like getting it, building a lowrider.
It's not. It's not. That's why, at least I say in our city, I consider that because you really don't see too many high dollar builds. You will see your G bodies, they're really nice ones. I'm not gonna say that they're not. They're really nice cars. But you don't see the 59s. You don't see the 58s. You don't see these dudes pulling out cars like that, fully optioned, and you just really don't see them like that.
Yes, yeah. I'm out here in Arizona, and then I've been to the Super Show at Goodyear at the stadium, and then I've been to the Pomona Roadster Show in Cali when I used to live in Cali, and I mean, dude, you got some lowriders out there. I mean, the paint job is probably 70 racks, 80 racks. I mean, the detailed and the etching in the frames. Some of these dudes these are next level dudes. You look at these cats and. These are hood dudes, man. You know what I mean? That spent a lot of bread. Way more than with somebody that's riding around in a Ferrari thinks like, oh man, that's just an old car. Nah, man. There's a lot of time and money in those cars.
I always say that, like, in my city, like, bro, if you got credit and let's say a 20% to put down, you can go in any dealer and even a Ferrari, a Lambo, a Rolls Royce. But let's try to see how that works out for you trying to get a 59 rag.
Yeah.
It ain't the same. You need hard cash to play in that league.
Well,
So
that's a good point because even at the car shows, when I go to car shows and I see somebody like say a 69 Camaro or a 72 Chevelle, that guy has a story where he built that car. He took it to this guy, he went over this shop, and sat at this guy's paint shop, and then he had to come back and do this. You can follow the money trail, but
correct.
like in LA, you got dudes who will piece up 3 or 4 dudes. They'll get a Bentley rims and they'll share the car.
Yeah,
So it's not. It's a totally different game.
it's a totally different game. You got to play. You got to play all sides of the spectrum, I guess. But it's not the same. So that's why when I see the dudes with the exotics and they kind of don't respect like what we do, I always tend to give them a reality check. Man, with 50 grand, I can go put that down and I'll be driving that same car right now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Grand won't get you this one.
Well, what's crazy that I've seen a dude pull up. I want to say it was a 60. I can't remember. It was a 64 or 63 drop. I mean, dude, it was nasty black with the red interior. He had the pumps, and he pulled into this was a car show in Woodland Hills where it's nothing but like white cats with Porsches and Lambos, and he pulled up, and I guess he was supposed to meet his homie there, and you could tell he felt like he was out of place. But everybody surrounded his car. I mean, they were looking at it. He popped the hood. I'm like, dude, I'm like, pop your hood. He's like, oh man. He was like, kind of like annoyed it. And dude, his engine was crazy, like the chrome. You see the frame, the undercarriage, and everybody's like, damn, like all these rich dudes were looking like,
What the fuck?
dude, they couldn't understand. It was like next level shit. And I'm like, like, oh man, I'm like, dude, don't trip. Everybody, he's like, I'm like, dude, everybody's tripping off your car. They ain't tripping, these
Nah, they
dudes they're not gonna do nothing to you.
off of how nice the car is.
Oh man, the whole car show. He shut it down. I mean, there's $300,000 Ferraris and Lambos with this, and it's like when I seen that, and I'm looking at the dude's exhaust, his interior, the way it's tucked. I'm like, oh man, this dude is clowning. He's on some other shit. But it's sad because a lot of those guys don't get to showcase their talents at that next level because they kind of only stick to certain car shows. So you don't get to see those cars. And when you do see them, and they go to these shows, because in Southern California, there's a lot of car shows where if you don't have like the Porsche GT2 or you don't have the Aston, you can't pull in if it's not exotic. But when you see those cars and these guys and how they came up, and that's like their pride, dude, it's like these are real car guys.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, regardless, even if they're exotics or whatever it is, I give them the respect as far as being car guys, but it's a whole different ball game when you play with these old cars. Whether you hot rodding, pro touring, no matter what side of old school you're into, it costs a check.
Yeah, yeah,
serious.
Yeah. Check. I always say, like I agree with you on that. On even the exotics, but just give everybody their props because when you see the lowrider or you see, I've been like SEMA, and I remember when the Dunk Master first showed up, and I seen his dunk, and everybody was tripping like, "What is this?" They didn't know what that was, and now you look at it, and I kind of follow the Miami dunk scene a little bit, some of the builders, and you guys are doing next level shit with them dunks, man.
Yeah, it's fine. It's finally getting into the space to where they're lifting these cars off the frame, and now they're displaying their cars on jack stands. And that was something it was the only one that was doing it was pretty much me.
Okay. So
But
you build dunks also?
yeah, I've done a bunch of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done a bunch.
Yeah, I watch who was it? I just seen at the Rick Ross car show. I kind of follow that guy on YouTube, the 95.
Yeah,
Yeah.
95.
Yeah.
Super cool. Known him for over 25 years.
Yeah, I heard him talk, say the same thing like you were saying, like, oh, you come in here, just to get in the door, 200, 50, but if you want this right here, it might be like $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I always say if you're building like a 69 Camaro, pro touring or hot rod or whatever, and then you're also building, let's say, a 59 rag, all original, fully optioned, and then now you're building a dong fully frame off with these LSA motors and LT motors, whatever it is, it's still going to cost you the same. You're just in a different genre, but the build is going to cost you the same. If you're building at that caliber, you spend $600,000. I just got back into building a 71 right now. The car's going to be like 450.
And so, when you start looking at the different levels, and I've been to a lot of car shows. Like, I've been to Monterey, been to SEMA, been to some pretty big shows out here on the West Coast. And when you go to like the Pomona Roadster show, I haven't been to Detroit Autorama or any of the Midwestern stuff, but I've been to some of the good guys. And when you start looking at the details in like the parts, you could tell what kind of money was spent by just looking at a guy's like his fittings, if they're A&M fittings, if the hoses, the clamps he used, if he had hard lines for his like his fuel hard lines underneath, if he had hard brake lines, depending on all that stuff. People don't they think, oh man, but they know when you start talking about getting in, and then the time and labor if you fabricating,
Yep. No, it gets very tricky. Like I said, in the dunk culture, it's finally it's finally moving into that realm. So I'm kind of excited about it because it's kind of like my lane. So I'm excited to see what the next couple years, uh, and of course with the Rick Ross Car Show, how these dunks are going to start to step up and really, put some pressure out here.
So, with the dunks, man, I've never ridden in a dunk. I've only seen a few. I mean, they're not really big so far in Cali. I mean, there's a handful of people like in the Bay. You'll see them here and there. Um, the Bay's kind of like, the Bay is pretty, pretty progressive when it comes to the card game. They're kind of like they jump on stuff early and trends and stuff like that. And so I've seen it out there. But like the dunks, man, what is it that make the dunks unique? I mean, are they more like just cruisers, straight line? I mean, how is it with those big wheels on the front with the handling and stuff? How do those cars actually perform?
Those there's a couple guys out here like Blue Magic, Two Fly, Big Low. There's a couple of these guys that are they've made these things damn near 9 second cars now.
Wow.
No, and these cars are super heavy. And what these guys have been able to do with these cars and the power that these guys are putting down, it's crazy. But mainly to like narrow it down, I come from a low riding background, so I was never into like the dunk culture. I like to see you in it. If you had one, oh shit, that's pretty cool. But I wasn't into them. And then me being from Miami, I had to kind of like adapt. And the only way to keep my doors open, I got to figure out a way to try to build these donks the way we build these lowriders. So basically, I was like the first guy to snatch a donk off the frame and build a frame off donk.
Mm.
And then I was actually the first guy. Well, our shop was the first shop to build a full show donk.
Wow.
Fully displayed. We were the first guys to lift the donk, in the air and put mirrors from front to back. Belly painted. First guys to do like stainless exhaust. Whatever's going on today, we did 15 years ago.
Oh shit. Okay.
You could tell how far behind the culture is. So, um, but the dunk culture stems from big motors and wheels. These guys they wanted to go fast from this light to the next light. So it was just a lot of power. Big blower motors. Sticking out of the hood. These guys didn't have hoods in their cars, and that's really where the dunk culture kind of like came from. And basically, a donk is a 71 to 75 Caprice or Impala, hardtop or convertible.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
mainly what it is. We're not into the 76, the glass house. We're not really into them, but technically, the 76 is also considered a donk. But it's just not something that's cared for in the South.
Okay. And so when you say like lifting them off the frame, are you guys doing like the suspension stuff? I mean, how is that to get the car to accommodate those wheels? Are there certain companies now who have kind of specialized with the suspension? 'Cause I remember they used to put like the things in between the coil,
Yeah, like
the
the space
coils.
stuff. Yeah, no, now it's changed. Back then when we were doing it, it was crazy because we ended up doing a Ford 9 inch. That's something that's very common in the lowrider culture and also in hot rodding and pro touring. I would say 99.5% of the time, every car out there has a Ford 9 inch rear end in it.
Okay.
Dunk culture wasn't up on it, so we were the first guy to put one on a dunk, and we had to pretty much make it work. And
Hmm.
now you can order it. But back then, when we were doing it, we would just buy a housing with no trailing arm brackets, and we will cut the trailing arm brackets off the stock rear end and implement it into a Ford 9 inch, and we will make our own brackets. And that's how we were able to put Ford 9 inches on donks back then. But now you can buy them.
And what about like your torque tubes and getting traction and transmissions? All of that stuff has to be like specialized because you're running a bigger wheel and then you're gearing and stuff. How does all that? Because people trip out like I seen the Dunk Master, which he blew up when he showed him beating that Ferrari in the quarter, and then I seen him beat like a Z06 in the quarter, and you're thinking like, how are they hooking with all that weight, and then also with the wheels, you got to take into account like the gearing and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they play with suspension. They play weight. They weight the car down. The same tricks that all the racers do. They have their own tricks. But gear ratios is a must. The same way we do with low riding. For us to get more spin out of the tire, we change our gear ratio as well, so we can drive on the highway. So those guys are doing the same thing.
Okay. And so I heard you mention the Rick Ross Car Show, and from what I'm understanding, you're like one of the brains behind that whole concept. Can you get into that a little bit? And I think how many years is this now? You guys have been doing this?
We just did our third.
Okay,
Yeah, we just came off our third annual. That was a huge success. We've been blessed and very fortunate to be able to be in the position that we're in. So, like I said, we just came off our third annual. I say a couple of weeks ago, June 1st.
okay, okay. And for those who haven't been to the car show, like, what does it entail? Is there like multiple classes of cars? I mean, what does a person? What can they expect? Is it a weekend event, 1 day event?
Okay, so it's a 1 day event. It's a very pricey event due to the fact that we do it at Rick Ross's estate. So it's not like a place like a venue or just like a convention center or something like that. We brought the event to his property just to give to inspire people that this is this you can do this if you really put your mind to it. So I remember when he first bought that home, he invited me over. Remember how I felt when I first went there. So that always stayed in the back of my head. I was like, boy, like I remember I would come back home, back to Miami, and I would tell people like, bro, you just got to see this house. Like, bro, this is insane. And I would tell these stories about the house, but as much as I try to put it into words, I couldn't really give you the full experience. So just conversations between me and Ross, certain like things behind closed doors that me used to talk about kind of led to us doing the event at his house. But one of the main things was to show people, give these people the experience that I felt when I first went there, and to see how this guy's living, and just to see that he comes from the same neighborhoods that a lot of us come from. So that's pretty much, to inspire. And of course, it's a great networking event. It's not even the car show is cool. The key thing that's turned into a crazy phenomenon is cool, but it's the vibe, the connections that are being made, the networking that's going on there, the money that's being. Uh, there's deals there being made all day long. There's just so much going on that it's worth the cover charge that we charge.
And what does it typically cost to, like, say if you want to just go as a as a spectator and walk around, what does that cost? And then if you're coming there to put your car into the show, what does that cost?
All right, so general admission, we do it at $250, and we did that to kind of like weed out the bad elements, the troublemakers, and somebody that's going to pay $250 to go there, uh, it's not going to go there and start no trouble.
Yeah.
So we made it a little bit pricey to kind of separate, the troublemakers from the people that really want to network and really want to position themselves to do something in the industry. So that's why we charge the 250, and then for car participants and bike participants, we charge $750. And the reason for that is we came up with this concept that I always felt like when I was competing, the money that we would have to put behind these builds, even being on the road, touring and getting on the road was so expensive, and what we would get back was just not, it was at the most 100. So we're spending. Bro, I could tell you one year we probably spent like $36,000 touring.
Damn.
Just touring, just being on the road, not the upgrade, not the build of the car, and not the upgrades on the car, because every time you come off a show, you got to take the car back apart and start doing upgrades. So let's not even add all that money to it. Let's just add fuel, food, and just travel expenses. We were up to almost $40,000 a year. And to do all that and then get $100 trophy, granted, you get the bragging rights, but it just was, it just never sat with me too good. So Ross came up with a concept of giving a General Motors key with a GM insignia in one side and a Rolls Royce insignia on the other side, which represents the American cars, and then the other side for foreign cars. The first keys were like about $15,000 a key, and then the second year they were like 55,000. This year they were like about 105,000 dollars a key, something like that.
Wow.
So they've been getting more expensive because, of course, now we've been getting the hang of how to budget the show a little better, and we're learning as we go. So we've been able to upgrade uh, the gifts. So we charge $750 because of the awards that we give out. They're pretty expensive.
And what are the different classes of cars like people could enter there? I mean, I know I've seen like the dunks on YouTube, but is there other like how many different categories is there that you guys are giving away the keys for the
So
prizes?
so for the keys, we made a very simple. We did a dunk. We did a hot rod slash pro touring. We did car of the year that normally is like a lowrider that takes that, because once these big boy lowriders pull up, it's really hard to beat those cars. So we do car of the year, we do bike, and then we do one hustler of the year. Hustler of
Hmm.
the year is an award that's given out to like a guy in the industry that's been in the industry for a long time, has always held a good reputation. Also builds cars for himself, has had multiple cars in the game throughout the years. Just a positive role model that stands out. So we've been lucky that the guys that we've awarded it to, they've been standout guys. That everybody knows who they are. They have a good reputation. These guys don't burn people. They do
Yeah.
good business. So they do charities, stuff like that. So that's kind of like where the hustler of the year stems from. And then
Okay.
now of course, with the growth of the show, and like I said, we keep learning. We're in talks of expanding the key classes into other genres of cars as well. So we're looking at probably the box Chevy class this year, and we're probably going to dabble into the truck class.
Okay.
And
So
then of
every
course, we have the regular car show. The first, second, and thirds of we have every class.
okay,
So
okay.
those just get the regular awards. Your first, second, and third. But then for the key class, it's just those specific guys.
And what about for vendors? What do you guys charge for vendors to come and like set up a display?
Our full vendors are 3,500, and then our regular vendors are 3,500.
Okay. All right. And Debo, one, get in the conversation, and how did you and Freddie, how do you guys know each other?
Woo!
Well, man, I know Freddy for years, man. I mean, we were always kind of like in the same social network, because I'm originally from Miami, but I left Miami in the early 90s and relocated to New York City. But Freddie has always been like one of those guys that was around every season. So I remember going to a show. This was back in, I want to say like maybe like 97 out in the neighborhood where I was originally from, Color Ridge.
Yeah.
And Freddie I think he had like a Toyota Corolla, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he put on three wheels for me. You know what I'm saying? I got a picture too. You know what I'm saying? See, you know what I mean? This is how long it's been. So it's like back in '97, and then by this time I was living in Connecticut, but I was one of those people that was on the internet early,
They love
following all of like the culture
Digital
based
Reels.
websites.
Yeah.
So at this time there was a website based out of Miami called Digital Wheels. And you had Freddie and you had Afro Jimmy. and he was a prominent fixture in, I would just say overall, just the automotive scene in South Florida. You know, this guy was like one of those master builders, but then he was also like, his oratorical skills on the camera were crazy. You know, he'd get on there, energy, he just start talking crazy. But him and Freddie had this timeless moment. You see Freddie, I think it was 99 Problems. It was like 3 Chevys. It was a 61, and I want to say it was like 264s. And he was like, yo, if you ain't coming like this, I don't know what to tell you. And at that time, I never seen nothing like that coming out. This is on the East Coast, period. I never seen a frame off wrap molded frame. And then, you know, the motors were all chromed out. I was like, yo, these dudes are like taking it to a whole nother level. And then, you know, I was already traveling independently, coming to back and forth to Miami, going to shows. But at this time, you know, I was a part of Individuals Car Club. So I would come in with the guys from my chapter up in New York. And that was always like one of the requirements, like we need to go to Miami, because Miami, to me, had the best car show scene on the East Coast. It wasn't LA, but it definitely took a couple of chapters out of LA pages and applied it to their program. And yeah, you know, when Freddie had, you know, Bowtie South right over there on 79th, 27th Ave, you know, that was like the lowrider headquarters. Everybody, you know, they come into town, we're going right there. And Freddie was like, yo, this is how I'm coming, man. One of the first people I seen paint batteries. Like every piece of this car was detailed. So when he talks about like, you know, on the East, like on the West Coast, their culture is based off of tradition. Out here on the East Coast, our culture is based off of trends. He took the tradition of LA and he applied that to his car building program, which was something we never really seen that. You know, it was only maybe 2 people over time that graduated to that level, but he was the first. But that's how Freddie and I really became, you know, established our brotherhood. You know, this is, like I said, this is a guy, we were always in the same network, you know, met him back in 97. And then, you know, ever since then, we just been locked in, you know, and this is somebody who I studied, you know, how to just move like a boss, you know. Yeah, because he, to me, is not like just a car builder. He's really like an intermediary in this space. But he's that bridge that connects, you know, the corporate world and the automotive world. So he's been a brand ambassador for the car culture, but then also he's been a brand ambassador in the fashion world, in the hip hop world. All these people have been able to optimize their brand as a result of Freddie's participation. You know, he did something that I thought was unique. You know, when he bought out 99 Problems, his prop were Nike Air Force Ones. Yeah. But he had Mr. Cartoon do the airbrushing on it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is innovation. And that's what this whole thing is about. It's about innovation. Like, how do you express who you are in detail? So this is what I'm saying, like, just being able to bridge that gap. That's what created that Miami-LA relationship, you know? And that's why I always, you know, I always pay homage to Bowtie South, because it created it was like an institution for us on how to build cars. And that's why I haven't been out on the streets, to be honest with you. Like, if it's not at that level, it's pointless to do so, because at this point, you know, it's not a trend for me. It's a tradition.
You know, I've heard, like you mentioned him, you know, numerous times. And so it's, you know, it's an honor to have him on a platform, and knowing that, you know, he's been around the game like that and seen it evolve, you know, from what it was to what it is today. Because, like, you know, even if you take a build that you've been working on, say, 8 years ago, and fast forward to today, I mean, the technology, the things that have came about, like, you might have had a certain, brake setup, and it's like, dude, that shit is dated now. You got to, if you're running horsepower, you got to upgrade to this, or maybe you had this supercharger. Well, shit, that was a shit like 8 years ago, but now you talking about putting down power, you got to do this. So it's like you said, the game evolved, and to see somebody that's around the game for a while, because it's a small circle. I mean, in LA, and I'd imagine even in like Miami, if somebody is a piece of shit in the car game, like pretty soon it doesn't take too many people to say, "Hey, man, what's the guy's name? Oh, that shop is shit, bro." So you got to really watch your reputation, and a lot of times people's like cars now, I look at or actual extensions, like you said, of a person's brand. And when you see a car, whether it's like at SEMA or at a Good Guys or at a Lowrider Super Show, and you're like, who, this is a so and so build. That's like transcends everything, because it's almost like you're repping the hood. That's like, oh, that's Debo's Cutlass. Oh, okay, yeah, blah blah blah. So and so built it. So your car is kind of like related to like who you are as a person. And if you on some bullshit, like your car, like you said, you pop your hood and you got some Pep Boy shit up in there, or your shit is like not what it's supposed to be, or it's not performing, then that's a reflection on who you had build your car. Because like you said, being in certain car clubs, you can't roll up with no bullshit. You're not gonna be, you represent the club, just like you're representing your hood or your brand. All that stuff is relevant, when you put your name on something. So you don't want to pull something out and put it all over the internet and it's some garbage.
Correct. Checking the
I
on
mean,
the
when
left
you
side.
see, like you said, you pull up the hood up, and you're seeing zip ties and all these oddities, that's an indication of who that person is. So when you start seeing guys like cut massive corners in their build, that's their method to building a car. They're cutting corners on homies. They're cutting corners on shops. They're cutting corners in every aspect of their personal life to make their social life look like something that it isn't. And when you step out in the streets, especially in a lowrider game, you got to step out right, and you can't play the game broke.
Oh,
Yeah.
Even though it's a poor man's sport,
Yeah, I know for
it was
me,
designed by
like when I
hustlers.
did, like even in Northern California, like in Sacramento, in the Bay, you had more Lolos, but you did have them in Sacramento. But lowriders in Sac was like, that was some gangster shit. Like when I seen, like, I remember like when I was a kid, I seen this cat. He was an OG. He had a 7 Deuce glass house on Truth and Vose, and that thing, bro, they was rolling that thing like, bumping I'm like some old NWA with the Jerry curls, and it's like these dudes was gangsters, bro. Wasn't no regular dude rolling a 7 Deuce with Truth and Vose, like with the windows down, like, like mobbing like that. It was just a different caliber dude. So you knew, like, we seen like I said, like an old like Caprice, or if you seen a 61, 62, or 57, or if you seen the homie like in a 70 Monte Carlo, those are gangsters. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, your mom pop dude. Those are dudes that, like, especially with the wheels on it, with the Zeniths and Vos, or Truth and Vos, or the Daytons, the 100 spokes, or, it was, that's what, like, it was almost like it motivated us as kids. That's what made me want to be a hustler. Seeing a dude pull up like that, I'm like, damn, you're looking at the car, and it's just like that was the baller's car. So yeah, my car passion goes way back. Like I said, high school, junior high. Then my grandpa was in the Mustang, so he had all the '60s, coupes, and just being around the cars and stuff, man. I've always been into seeing somebody that could take something that's classic, and when you restore that, it's like it has a soul.
As a
That car.
as a story, it has depth.
Yes.
It's just something about it, and I don't, and even like I don't knock the dudes that buy cars. You know what I'm saying? I don't knock them because some guys really don't have the patience. They have the money to do it. Um, they also don't want to deal with the fuckery of the industry because you know there's a lot of fuckery going on. So I don't knock them, but boy, let me tell you, when you build that car and you know that you built it and the struggles and all the things that you have to overcome to get this car on the road, man, I think that's like the best feeling ever.
It's a lot of man, it's a lot of pain, bro. Like sometimes I think like, God, man, if I would have just bought some shit done, I could be enjoying my shit right now. And then, but you think about like the cars, you had and you sold. You're like, damn, man, I wish I would have kept that car because blah blah blah. And now you don't have it. So it is a different feeling when you build a car. Freddie, do you have any crazy car stories, man? Like having built cars for certain people, or anything that kind of like with like a really pinnacle car, like outside of some of the stuff you talked about, because I know you dealt with a lot of clients, you sold a lot of cars. Anybody like in particular, like this guy was like he wanted something way out, or something that was a crazy build, or any crazy stories?
Always got to sign NDAs with my customers. but yeah, I got. See, I remember a pretty dope story. I mean, I ended up selling my '61 Impala to a good friend of mine, right? So I'm explaining to him like, the tissue box, and I'm explaining to him, the side by side switch and all these little accessories and these $2,500 floor mats that they don't exist anymore. I found this NOS and this and that, whatever. But it's going in one ear, coming right out the other. He's just like, "Give me my car so I can fucking leave." That's pretty much. So I would say like 6 months later, uh, I end up going to his house. The car is sitting outside with the top down, pouring rain. So I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And he gave me like this wild story. So I said, "Yo, where are the floor mats?" He goes, "Oh, I took them out because they had like a little mold on them and I threw them away." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Yo, these are $2,500 floor mats. You can't find this shit nowhere. Like, what the fuck?" He goes, "Yeah, I took them out and I let them hang on the fence and then they started like dry rotting. So I just threw them away because it started getting mold." Bro, listen. Long story short, he ends up selling the car and I'm following the car throughout the years. I would say like a good 10 years, 10, 12 years. And one day a buddy of mine sends me a link on Facebook Marketplace and it's my 61. I call the number on the ad. Coincidentally, the place is right here in Fort Lauderdale. He goes, "Yo, I just literally received the car like 2 hours ago. I'm going to freshen it up. I'm going to go through it, because I'm going to sell it." So I said, "Listen, bro," I give the guy this crazy story on how that was my car that I built 12, 13 years ago. And I want the car back. I don't care however it is, I'm taking it. It doesn't even matter at this point. Don't fix nothing, I'm taking it. He was like, "Yo, bro, I don't even know how much I have into the car so far." I said, "Send me your address." I went to the bank, I pulled out the cash, and took off to the guy's body shop. The guy brings out all the invoices. I think he said, "Yo, listen," he rounded it off to like the nearest 1,000. So I think he made like $600 on me.
Damn.
Because of the story. He was like, "Yo, that's crazy how you've been following this car. And look how the car ended up being 30 minutes from you, this and that, whatever." He just grabbed all his invoices real quick. I paid X amount for the car. I had it in a storage. I paid $200. It cost me $2,000 to put it here, whatever. And it came out to like, whatever it was, let's say 53,000, $200. He just rounded it off to 54,000. And that's it.
Damn.
Take the car. So I ended up getting the car back, and I had too many cars at the time. And a buddy of mine's from up north in up northern Cali kept bugging me about the car. So I gave it to him. I was like, "I just come get it." And I really regret. If there's one car that I regret doing that, was the second time I sold it. Because the first time I sold it, I needed the money. So I sold it because I was desperate.
Yeah, yeah.
But the second time I had, I didn't have to sell it. It was more like I had a red 64 convertible that I just ended up getting off of a customer. So I was like, man, I got two red convertibles and this one's already done. You know, why am I going to get into the 61? Then I got to build it. And it was just lingering around. And man, I just gave it to my buddy. And I regret it because when I asked him for it back, he kind of hesitated for a while. And then he told me, bro, I did a deal with the car and I sold it. Oh, bro, we had a deal. I said, if you ever was going to sell the car was coming back to me. And I
Uh,
never kind of like, after that, I kind of really don't really talk to him as much because that shit really bothered me. Because I really wanted the car back.
yeah, that's a lot of blood and equity in that car, man. I mean, that car kind of was that one of the cars that kind of like put you on the map. Was that a car you really like, put your heart into?
It was actually my first like real car. I
Wow.
was known for building other people's cars. I never really had one on my own. I had like little, like Corollas and stuff like that, Dayans here and there, but I've never had like an Impala. And that was the first one that when I first came out and put myself in that league, at set my game up, that was the car. So
Yeah, yeah, because there's cars like you have, and you're like, oh, okay, you go to car show, you're like you said, you're good, but like then there's a car like when you pull up, you know that this car is not just like you can come to the car show and everybody's gonna know like, oh, this is next level, you
yeah,
know, and
at
that was the car.
that time, that car was that. It was that next level that Miami had never seen.
Wow.
Because we did the show stuff with the previous car, for my business partner at the time, um, and we dominated the show scene. But it was a show car that was never really seen much. They're pretty much trailer queens. But I wanted that same level of detail, and then I was more into the street. I wanted to be a rider.
Mm. What's your car? What is your car right now as far as your car that you kind of take to the shows that when on the weekends when you want to go out and hit the beach or get your clown on, what are you pushing right now?
I don't do shows. Me personally, I don't do shows. I don't none of them. I'll go to a show, but I don't take my cars to shows. I'm more for the street now. Um, I have a '57 rag, with hydraulics. A really nice car, super clean car. And it's like that's like my cruiser. Uh, my laid back car. And then I got a '63 hardtop. That's my banger. Big motor, a lot of power, a lot of horsepower, and a lot of power in the trunk. And it's a rider. The car's a rider. It's built to drive, and I could show it if I really wanted to, but I hop it. Nobody here.
Okay.
What I do to that car, nobody here would even think about doing something like that to that car. I'm actually getting it ready right now to. I'm sending it up to LA for the professionals picnic. So I can go cruise over there for a couple days. So I'm getting that car ready to head up there now, and I got a couple other more toys, but those are like my two that I would consider my play cars, and I'm also in the works now of building me a dome. I
Okay.
I think it's time that I don't care for them like that. Like me personally, I don't care for them like that. But we're in Miami, so I guess I gotta have one. So that's the next on my agenda. I'm trying to finish some property stuff I got going, and once I get that resolved, I'm gun ho start building that dome. I already got it, so it's just
And
collecting.
what do you think the turnaround is going to be on that? Because I know if you're waiting on there's parts, there's the motor guy. I mean, what do you think it's gonna? How long do you think it's gonna
I
take you?
built I built look built my '63 a full frame off. I gutted from top to bottom, new frame, new motor. I'm telling you, everything brand new. I built the car in 8 months.
Damn!
I just built a car for LeBron James. I built the modern version of the Boys in the Hood '63 for LeBron James,
Wow!
and I did the car. We did the car in 90.
Wow!
but I go in, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
know what it is. I'm not playing with these people. I pay for right now. You know,
Yeah.
LeBron is the type of dude that he's not trying to save a buck.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
I need it right now. So I provide that service. And for myself, when I do stuff for myself, I need it right now. You know, for me to sit there and take 2 years to build a car, I think it's just going to cost me more money. The car lingering around in a shop, eventually I'm going to be paying those guys rent.
Yeah.
I'm going to be paying their light bill. Fuck that. Whatever it is right now, let's do it right now. So if you 15 grand to build a car and it's going to take them a year, then listen, bro, I'll pay you 25 and paint it in 3 months. It's the
Wow.
same shit.
Yeah.
So I move quick. So the same thing with my dunk. When I decide to pull the trigger on it, I'll build it.
Okay.
Yeah, I move fast.
Debo, did you want to add anything? I know we've been on for almost an hour, man. Adjust your camera a little bit this way,
I mean,
the other way. There,
I think.
the other way, the other way.
Oh,
The other way, this
is
way. There
it
you go.
other
There
way?
you go. Yeah, right
Yeah,
there.
a little bit more, a little bit more. It might center out when
Is good? Okay.
they're kind of cutting off half your face. Yeah,
Is
there
that
you
Right,
good
go.
or not?
right
There
there.
you go.
Right
Yeah,
there.
you're good now.
Oh, it's cutting off my face. Am I? I'm good. I'm centered. Okay. Um, I don't really have any questions. I think Freddie pretty much gave us a nice you know idea who he is and what it is that he's offered to the game. I'll just say what do as far as like your current brand, being um doing these collaborations with Rick Ross. Where do you guys
Um,
see
you know,
this thing going
first off,
within the
we have
next
our, you know, we have
five
our
five
denim
years?
company called Thread Denim, THRT Denim. So we're into fashion. Like I said, you said it earlier. I've been into fashion. I've always been a dude that likes to dress. I'm into jewelry. I'm into collecting high end watches. I'm into all that fly stuff. So it's only right, we got THRT denim. So we're on our second capsule. We're about to launch the third capsule. We also have our car care product line, slippery soap. That's we're working now to get that into Walmart and expanding that as one of the big brands. Um, the car show, it's probably the biggest thing in the game right now. It's a cultural like phenomenon, I guess you would say. So we're gonna keep just growing it. I'm gonna keep learning every event. I'm gonna learn more and try to make everybody happy. It's hard to make everybody happy, but I really try to do my best to make it fair for everybody. So the car show is gonna keep growing, and I want to dabble into like films and documentaries. Um, I don't know if like the reality shows. There's a lot of talented guys in the industry that I believe deserve their 5 minutes of fame on TV, and I'm gonna start learning that business and see how that industry works. Hopefully, put some projects out where we can get on Netflix and start to build from there. I want to be behind the camera. I like the executive stuff. So maybe the first one I'll do it myself just to get it out there. And then once it has a face to it, I kind of fall back and then just start bringing guys in that I feel are qualified enough that deserve a chance, to be on TV and give them the platform that they need to succeed.
Dope, bro. I mean, I like to see brothers out there working together, man, hustling
Well,
and bringing a different aspect of the car community. And I'm the type of dude, man. When I go places and I see guys that are like from my background there, it's like, hey man, what's up? I'm glad you're here too. You see what's happening because a lot of times, you know, we get stuck in just one genre and you bring this stuff over and it just we're trendsetters. And when you bring it over, these people they see it and it's like it blows them away because how we take things and how creative we get with it. So I'm glad to hear like you're venturing out on that stuff, man, and hopefully future, all of us can collab on something or get something going, depending on what we have going. Because like we're all kind of pioneers in our own right. So man, I'm blessed to have you on the platform. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to holler at a brother, man, over here on the West Coast. I know it's a 3 hour difference. You know what I mean?
It's
So,
too easy.
and like I said, if you head to Cali, depending on when you're there, let me know. I'm back and forth, and maybe we can link up in person, man. But
Yeah, we'll be out there. We're gonna be out there the weekend of the 21st. I don't know what day I'm coming in, but definitely the weekend of the 21st. We'll be in we'll be in LA. The cars will be out there. I'll have some of the Miami cars out there. Actually, I believe Martian is taking his car. There's other couple guys from Miami taking their cars out there. So Miami,
24th of July.
July 21st. Yeah,
Okay.
Professionals Picnic, Professionals Car Club. There's their 50th anniversary picnic. So the Miami heavy hitters will definitely be in the building.
Mm.
All right. Well, shit, we'll tap in. I'll tap in with Debo, and hopefully, like I said, if I'm out to that weekend, I can hopefully swing through my shit. I gotta check my guy too to hopefully get my car back, man. I've been 4 years in the game, bro. It's stressful.
But, you can send that puppy down here to Miami, and
Oh man,
right.
shit. So I hopefully, I know. I'm just trying to get all my shit home so I can at least enjoy them, get a peace of
keep
mind,
telling them.
and then work on my next build, man. But brother, it's a pleasure. I thank you, Debo. You know how we do it, man. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, man, muscle up. Big Herc 916, 57 Freddy, Debo the Don. Tap in.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right.
With Fresh Out Ministries, we're doing a new program where we're doing a takeover of a mom pop cafe or restaurant, and we're doing a pay it forward. So we're going to offer free meals at this particular restaurant or cafe, mom pop, for a certain amount of time, and we are asking that you make a donation to pay it forward so that we can continue doing this program for other mom pop restaurants and cafes, because we know that it's hard times out here. You have a lot of people that talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And so we're actually walking the walk. We've been doing it for over 11 years on social media. We've been getting shadow banned. We've been getting demonetized. So we want to give back, and this is our way of giving back to helping everybody through these trying times with this economy. A lot of churches, they got $100 billion, and you don't see them out here helping the people who are in times of need, but they're still taking in the form of donations. But how's it helping the community? We want to build a community sense where we help each other. We can all overcome. You can't sit around waiting for somebody to save you. You got to save yourself. And this is the way you do it. So by us being able to do these takeovers with Fresh Out Ministries, with the mom pop restaurants and cafes, we want to build a film, talk to you guys, get your feedback on what's going on right now in society. Hopefully you guys find it in your heart to donate. This donation, which is a pay it forward, will allow us to do other mom pops around the country eventually. But right now we're going to be in Southern California and Los Angeles, Orange County. So hey, reach out to your local businesses there. And if you are out of town in another area and you would like us to come there, if you provide the necessary means, we will come there also and do the same pay it forward. But right now, hey, if you're in locally in Los Angeles, Orange County, hit us up, freshoutseries@gmail.com. You can also make a donation on our link tree on our Instagram at Fresh Out Series.